And as thrilling as that music must be for all of you, it is Unhappy Wednesday, everyone. Coming to you live once again from my compound here. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. As always, we thank you for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using to tune in. So pull up a chair, turn up the volume, use the company dime if you're stuck at work. And let's get wild as we put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow, Friday Eve, Friday of Wild Card Weekend. Guys, we're going to do this every week. Folks, if you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, please do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Legion page. If those services are where you're comfortable, as always, we totally get it. But the YouTube channel is the best way to view and listen and comment on any Green Legion radio show. So please do us a solid. Go to YouTube, search the Green Legion, subscribe, hit that little bell next to the subscribe button so that you get your notifications whenever a Green Legion radio show goes live. And do us a favor and share that everywhere, right? The more we can flood social media with Green Legion, the more fun we're going to have. If you cannot catch our shows live, that's okay too. You can always watch and listen later on any of the services we mentioned before, but also on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. So, end of the season, we, at the back porch, our little nest there, we've, we didn't build a huge crew, but what we did do was we've built a nice core of people. And I think that's the first step anyways, right? Between Mike and myself and John, Kevin, Jason, when he's got time, we got another guy, Kenny, who's with us every week. As much as people's time permit, picked up a couple of new friends last weekend when we were at Buffalo Wings and Rings instead of the back porch. So hopefully growing from there, we're going to do a thing, Eagles off this week. We're all going to get together and go bowling at a place around the corner here. It's actually called Gilmore Lanes. So, that looks like a lot of fun. Just 7 to 9, catch part of the playoff game and then people do whatever they want after that. But we've had a fun year. It's been nice to see faces. We've had a few people come in that were just in town for business and saw the social media posts. And they've stopped in to watch the game with us. That happened again this past Sunday. Guy Steve, boy, he was Philly through and through too. Loud, fun, pissed off that we weren't running the ball. Just your typical Birds fan. So, who do we got in here so far? Desi, how you doing, darling? Lou Mancini says he's home alone this week and not liking it. And asking what Desi was saying, congrats for. I'm pretty sure guys, if you remember Desi, that's Vito's wife. Desi is a Giants fan. So she's congratulating not just me, but all of us on the victory and the number 1 seed in the division and all of that. She's a gracious loser in for that game. So, but she's also in the playoffs against the Vikings, and we're going to get to that in a little while here. I don't know how the rest of y'all's week's been going. This afternoon for me was was pretty frustrating. The workforce out there definitely leaves something to be desired. Whether they can't show up on time, can't show up at all, leaving early, come in to interview for jobs that they're not qualified for, or just being a giant pain in the neck. It's getting more and more frustrating by the day. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but suffice it to say, my entire afternoon was wasted on one individual who cannot, just a giant pain in the ass. She's through a temp service. She wanted to drive a reach truck for us on third shift. We told her we would evaluate her this afternoon. And she was like demanding to be brought up to our HR office in the morning, and then demanding to be evaluated in early afternoon. I'm like, yo, I will get to you after lunch. And then she leaves at 1:15 saying she had to go and retake a drug test. This is a temporary staff labor. So we do not return list, right? Where we just call them DNR. Like, that's enough of you. And it wasn't even that she wanted to work. Like, we heard from her a month ago on this. Then she stopped showing up. And then shows up again today with all these demands. Like, get out of here. You're crazy. Anyways, who else is in here now? Lou Mancini again. So awesome you found a place near home. It is. With Mike up there being the GM and being a Philly guy, it's really made it to where, since I moved away from Connecticut, I've been able to hang out with him and watch and watch the birds and razz each other and have a good time. What do we got here? Desi, Lou Mancini wants that breakfast that I'm always raving about. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be shippable, buddy. You got to get that hot off the griddle. Keenan in the house telling Lou, puff, puff, and no one to pass to. Hey, Lou, that's not always the worst thing, right? And my man Fito has entered the room. Yo, cheerio. Fito obviously ecstatic about the way his 49ers have closed the year, and we'll get to them in a little while too. DeMar Hamlin's story, right? Continues to just be amazing. Sent back to Buffalo, and now he's been released to go home. And now you have the doctors trying to figure out if he's medically cleared to actually go and attend the game this weekend. I don't think there's a chance in hell that he's not there. I think he's going to be there. And, for our friends, Lou Dominguez and 305 Sports Babe, Ashley down there in Miami, I really am sorry. I think it would be more fun if Tua could play. I don't think Tua should play, given his concussion. And he's not going to. It's going to be Skyler again. But and we're going to talk these games here in just a minute. I wanted to start with Hamlin. That's going to be a really emotional scene in Buffalo once again. That's going to be a charged up team at home in the cold against Miami. Unfortunately, guys, your fish just don't really. I mean, look, they got any given Sunday, and that's why they play the games. But, on the outside looking in, this does not look good for Miami. But anyways, back to Hamlin. So talk about amazing, this young man. Right? So the guy almost dies on the football field just a week ago. He's out, he's home, he's alert, he's talking to people, he's he's getting stronger by the day, obviously. Did you hear about the t-shirts that he's got out now? So it's the Did We Win? You guys remember when we spoke last week, or maybe it happened Thursday. I can't remember the exact timeline. But when he kind of came to in the hospital, he wasn't able to talk yet. Obviously, the lungs, the intubation, all of that. But he was able to write. And his first question is, did we win? And of course, the response to him was what? It was, yes, you won at life, right? Well, Hamlin has created Did We Win t-shirts, where all of the proceeds are going to go to the UC, University of Cincinnati Trauma Center, and the first responders. the kid, that's a heart made of absolute gold. What he does with his GoFundMe for toys for kids that are less fortunate, and now to come out of all of that, and one of the first things that you're going to do is give back. It's really just continues to be a great story. His GoFund for his charity as of last night up to 8.6 million. So like we talked about last week, look at how America responds. And I know, I get it. Again, like we talked last week, it stinks that it takes an event, a tragic event or near tragic event, a scary event, for everyone to kind of rally together. You would hope that we could just kind of, mend fences and be like this with each other on a regular basis. Be that as it may, $8.6 million as of last night, or yesterday at some point, in his GoFundMe for the toys for children in need. I mean, just an unbelievable. So I think they were trying to get $2,500 in that GoFundMe when he launched it, and he's up to 8.6 million. So, DeMar's going to be able to provide for a lot of, they're going to make a lot of kids very happy, I would assume. So again, just wanted to touch on that. Obviously, that's going to be an ongoing story and a wonderful one as well. Hop back over here before we move on again. I wanted to interact with the room quite a bit, and I am going to post that link here in just a minute in case anybody wants to pop in. I know Fito sometimes is chomping at the bit. Not to put you on the spot, but it's totally up to you. Nobody is obligated to join in here, but we want to have some fun with some of our, what I'm calling you guys, the usual suspects. You're awesome, all of you. Keenan, technically Hamlin did die twice. Agreed. Yes, absolutely. His heart stopped. They had to use the paddles twice on him, and then the CPR and everything. Lou Dominguez, that's a lot of toys. Yes, sir, it is. A lot of unfortunate kids are going to be jumping for joy here in the not too distant future. Lou Mancini says he gets it. He does. He gets it. He grew up tough. He grew up poor, and he understands what it's what it's like, and he's trying to give back. And I think it's just a great thing. Captain Demps in the room. How you doing, sir? You're not going to like my take on San Francisco, Seattle, but but we'll get there in a little while. Anyways, let me do this. I am going to take this here and copy. And we're going to put this link up here for you guys. So that link, you should be able to click on that if you want to join. And if you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. If people want to join in, great. If you don't, if nobody does, like I've told you before, gift of the gab, kids. I can do this forever. So, hats off to Hamlin. Great, just a great human being. And with that kind of segue into the NFL, into the wild card weekend, we're going to be pretty much all NFL tonight. Obviously, it's wild card weekend. A lot of people love this weekend more than anything else. Lou Dominguez, I see you. By the way, Georgia just scored again. What a disaster. I was going to open the show with with Kirby Smart's pregame speech kind of playing. But at this point, there's no use in beating a dead horse. I mean, that national championship was an absolute disaster. So, anyways, again, NFL, and we'll start with the AFC because we were just talking about the Bills. I do want to talk about that game and the scenario real quick, as far as the Bengals and the Bills and the not playing that game and the impact that it had and or almost had. So, I mean, as tragic as the events of last Monday night were, if you look at it from strictly a football perspective, now that we're, oh Lord. Captain Debs.
How are you, my friend?
All right. How are you, man?
I'm good. Say hi.
Hi. How are you? You giving your daddy a whole bunch of crap over there?
Yeah.
Atta girl.
Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Happy New Year to you as well, man. What brings you on? What you got?
Shucks, man. I mean, you do it. You do a great job. I will tell you, though, unlike a lot of cynical Birds fans, the gloom and doom woe is us. I mean, I still like our chances, my friend. Even with the dinged up Lane and a dinged up Hurts, if they have the right game plan, which is running the ball first, we'll be fine. I mean, I still
For
see us
sure.
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, anybody who's too wound up about that about that Giants game the other night.
Right.
Look, and there were parts of it that were very frustrating.
Right.
Incredibly frustrating. But just take a look. If you go back and just rewatch some clips of it, the play calling is very vanilla on both sides of the ball. Right. They weren't showing you anything. And a lot of people pissed off about Jalen throwing a lot.
Right.
But understand, he's got to get reps in during real-time live football action, not just practice where he's redshirted with no pads on.
Right.
He's got to throw the ball. So the only thing I was frustrated by was not those field goal attempts not turning into touchdowns, pulling away from the Giants, and being able to take everyone out and just wrap them in bubble wrap and move on.
But that is an improvement over the past. Sirianni never takes the points. So, true. I mean, I'm looking, I got Jake Elliott, for 50 yards, and he's going for it on 4th and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an improvement. But here's the thing. So I think people got bent out of shape with the bad game plan in Chicago. So everything about that game was bad, and they said they were affected by the cold. One thing, and I'm not or haven't been historically a Sirianni dude. One of the things I've got to give him, apart from the Saints game, is that he's learned from mistakes in game plan. So every time last year, I would say, what the hell do they do all week? Right. But this year, they're working on, false starts. They're working on not running the ball. They're working on the weakness of the other team. So I've got to believe that whoever our opponent is next week, will be properly rested, and he'll probably game plan and will perform.
Yeah, I agree. The Saints game was a difficult watch. It was really hard.
I want to talk to him.
You too much. You say "Go Birds"?
Yeah, actually, can you sing the song?
Yeah.
Sing it. Fight. 1, 2, 3. Hi.
And what's our Eagles fly? Eagles fly. I don't want to EAGLES Eagles.
Are you
very
even
good? All right.
Are you even parenting, bro? She's 2.5.
I get it.
So
I get it.
I get it to fight.
Yeah, but I will not take up your studio time, bro. I just wanted to reach out and say, hey, give you a little bit of love. You're doing good stuff.
Man.
Stop it, baby.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that, Cap. Thank you for stopping in, man.
Oh, you're the man. All right, so I'm going to go on and listen. Now, are you on the YouTube link too?
Yeah, YouTube,
okay.
Facebook, or Twitter. Yep.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna go listen on YouTube so I can use my phone.
All right, sounds good. Thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Word. See you.
Captain Dempsey, everybody. How about that? There's a nice treat. There's a nice stop in there. Don't get to see him very often living out here in Ohio and only making to a couple of, one, maybe two Green Legion things every year. So excellent to see him. And Mike, is that little girl not the cutest? Holy cow, with the fight song and everything. He says, are you even parenting, bro? She's 2.5 and singing the fight song. That's fantastic. Always great to see Captain Demps, the Captain America. God, I kind of lost my place, man. That was just awesome. So, getting some call outs over here. Keenan Carmen, I love it. The Eagles played the last preseason game of the season last Sunday. Yeah. I was saving the bird stuff until after the AFC, but you know what? Let's just kick it off with the birds. I'll just shuffle the deck a little bit. No worries. So we got it done, right? Kind of like Cap alluded to. He's not not always been a Nick guy, but the adjustments were there. He did take the points instead of going for it, constantly understanding that the points at that situation were more important than trying to go for it on fourth down all the time. Got it done. 14-3, NFC East champs, right? Number 1 seed in the NFC. We get another week off now to get Lane healthy, to get Hurts back going. work out some kinks. The offense has been very much up and down. And, you know, hopefully come out of that. I'm not going to talk too much about, you know, who we may or may not play. I will give you my opinion here in a few. Again, the Giants game, no, it wasn't the prettiest game. But I do understand the pass happy scheme to start the game off. Russ Taylor over here asking for predictions for the weekend. We're going to get to that in a minute. Cap jumping in. We went right to the Birds, so I shuffled the deck a little. We'll do Birds, and then we'll get to the rest of the games. You know, the folks and a bunch of my crew here, and to an extent myself too, you know, frustrated with so much passing early in that game against the Giants. But then you got to take a step back and look at the fact that Jalen Hurts has been out for a few weeks. And while he has been at practice, it's not real time. It's not a live game. And he needed to get those reps in. You got to get the timing back. We saw some deep throws that were erratic. That stuff's got to get worked out. And overall, we threw it 35. He dropped back 35 times, and we ran the ball 34 times. So it wasn't a really good balance throughout the game. And I think that's where some of the frustration comes in. But you have to understand that Jalen had to throw a bunch during that contest just to try to get the reps in, you know? The only problem I had with some of the throws, they were RPO plays. And Jalen pulling it back and throwing rather than handing it off or taking a couple of yards. You know, part of getting the reps in is also him reading what's in front of him and making the right decision. I thought there were a few where I really would have rather seen him kind of just give it to Miles or give it to Boston Scott or give it to Gainwell or whatever and just take what's there. He did look a bit rusty. You know, like we said before, some of the downfield throws, not what we had been used to seeing from Jalen. I think that's to be expected. And you need to work that out over this 2 week span before we play again. And then you have to consider the fact you all heard Coach Nick. He said Jalen, you know, he's called him the toughest guy on the team pretty much all year. But he also did admit that, you know, Jalen was sore. The shoulder was hurting. So he's got to, he's got to work that out, right? We can't get too wrapped up in the number of passes thrown against the Giants. Like I said, my biggest frustration from the offense was not being able to turn some of those possessions into touchdowns and settling for the 5 field goals, right? I don't blame Coach for taking the points. Like Cap said, smart to take the points rather than going for it all the time. But, you know, it would have been nice if the offense just could have converted those into touchdowns where you pull away from the Giants, you start pulling guys off the field, wrap them up in bubble wrap, like I've been saying, and look forward to the playoffs. And there's Cap has now joined us in the room on YouTube. Thanks for the kind words. We're having a blast. You guys are the best. Thank you for dropping in, Cap. So and you go over to the defense again, vanilla. Even the defensive play calling was very vanilla, right? Nothing great, nothing really awful. You had the one bad drive. It seems like we have that one bad drive every single week where it's like, what in the blue hell is going on here? And that happened again, you know, and then Davis Webb, is it Davis Webb or whatever, runs over Blankenship, and it was ugly on that one, right? But, you know, the biggest bummer on the defensive side, to me, it was not getting the sack record, right? We were 5 away from breaking the record. We needed 4 to tie it, 5 to break it. We walked into the game with 68 sacks, finished the season with 70. Ironically, the 2 sacks we did get, neither of them were on the quarterback. So we finished with 72, shy of tying the record set by the 84 Bears. You know, going against the Giants team that had announced that pretty much any meaningful starter was not going to be in the game. And, you know, it's Davis Webb at quarterback, us needing the game to kind of lock everything up. I was really hoping we were going to kind of pin our ears back and go after it. But again, you know, Gannon likes to rush that front 4 and play that kind of zone behind it. And that does get frustrating. So, again, you got 2 weeks to prepare. At this point, they'd be, you know, they're watching film on everyone right now. All of the of any team that we could play. And at this point, that would be either Tampa or Dallas, or who was it, Seattle or the Giants. I mean, not much tape needed on the Giants. You just, at that point, it's stop Saquon and make Daniel Jones beat you. Gannon, he likes that front four approach. We're much more effective when we send some smoke. Then don't any of you try to tell me that when the Giants were backed up on that like 3rd and 29 or 3rd and 30 that you didn't have flashbacks of the Dallas game, because I did. Screaming at the television, send the house! Don't let him get downfield. Didn't need to. It worked out fine, but there was a bit of a flashback there. Again, the one very frustrating drive. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think you are going to see a lot of what you saw this past week. When it's the base package, he is going to drop back into the safety position. When it's nickel, you're going to see a lot of CJ come down and play nickel corner. We've talked about this. I know all of you have posted, and I'm sure talked it with with folks there around you, the frustrations with Josiah Scott. Look, Avonte Maddox is a really good nickel corner. But your most valuable attribute is your availability. And the guy's not on the field. And the drop-off from Maddox to Scott is far too drastic to continue to entertain that heading into the playoffs. So you're going to see CJ take a bunch of snaps there. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. He looked fine there against the Giants. We're just going to kind of have to see how it goes. Again, overall, play calling, very vanilla. It would have been nice to blow their doors in, wrap everybody in bubble wrap, and rest. But now we've got 2 weeks to get things in order. I'm not going to be overly concerned with the injuries right now, given the big gap before our next game. And, obviously we're all watching Lane Johnson. He's only the best right tackle in football. You really want to have him back on the field. So let me hop over here to the room again. I think we had a few new folks jump in. What did Russ Taylor here? Russ Taylor, how about Lovie Smith winning that game on Sunday and knowing that he was already fired, and by winning it cost them the number 1 pick? Yeah, that was a disaster. I mean, holy hell. David Connor in the room backs up Russ with that was the ultimate FU. Lou Mancini, Cap, your daughter singing. I can do that all day. So adorable. Could not agree more. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, that is definitely one of the highlights of this show since the show started. Is Cap's daughter coming out and singing the fight song at 2.5 years old. Patty Hartman says, hey, how you doing? She's over on Facebook. Patty is one of my best friends. She was we were down at the wedding there when Kidder got married down in Florida. So, who else do we have here? Yes, it was Cap saying that's good use of him. I'm assuming you mean CJ Gardner-Johnson as far as the nickel corner. I do. Fito, I thought Cap was a Raiders fan. Fito, you got the wrong captain. Captain Demps, Fito and I have a mutual friend, a very good friend, somebody who I consider a brother, and have for a long time. Back in Connecticut there, he is a big Raiders fan. So this is Fito, this is Captain Demps you're talking to here, not Cap Livingston. So anyways, let's go to the rest of the NFC playoffs, right? And obviously if everything goes chalk, except, and then it comes down to the Dallas-Tampa game for who is going to come to Philadelphia. All right. Now I want to talk Dallas for just a couple of minutes here. Dak leads the league in interceptions thrown with 15, despite only playing 12 games this year. Okay, that is pretty bad. He's had 7 straight games with at least 1 interception thrown. He's thrown in 5 different games this year. He's thrown 2 interceptions. Okay, he has been very sloppy with the football. The whole team has been sloppy with the football down the stretch. Dallas as an offense, they went over 100 yards on the ground 11 straight times, 13 times overall, but 11 straight games, from weeks 5 through 16. Yet in the past 2 weeks, week 17, they only ran for 87 yards. Week 18, only 64 yards. Now, you could say week 18, maybe they just kind of mailed it in later, but Dak played that whole game, and he looked awful. Absolutely awful. When you look at their turnover margin, Dallas, in their first 10 games, they only turned the ball over 9 times, and they were +7, right? They were pretty much top 3 or 5 right there with us. In their final 7 games, while they remained +4, they turned it over 14 times. Okay? They have forced 17 turnovers in their last 6 games, which is how they've managed to keep that plus. And the 17 turnovers forced over those 6 games, impressive. But then you have to go look at the breakdown of who they played. Okay? It breaks down like this. They forced 5 turnovers against a god-awful Indianapolis team and murdered them. I mean, that game was a joke. Against Houston, they forced 2 turnovers. But they had to win on a last-second drive, right? At Jacksonville, they forced 3 turnovers, and they lose that game on a Dak pick 6 in overtime. I get it. Was tipped, whatever. But if you look at the play, he probably shouldn't have thrown the ball there, right? Versus us, they took the ball away from us 4 times, scoring 20 points off of it against our backup quarterback. We all saw how awful he was against New Orleans. And we still had a shot at the end to win that game. And then at Tennessee, they forced 2 turnovers. Tennessee's terrible. Okay, they've completely fallen off the map. And I don't want to hear about, Tannehill. And, because Ryan Tannehill wasn't there, my ass. Tennessee's just not that good. And then finally wrapping up, they forced 1 turnover against Washington and lose that game. And Dak threw another pick 6 in that one. So that plus minus, even the 17 turnovers that they forced over those 6 games, it's a little loaded. 5 of them against Indianapolis, 4 of them against us. The Indy game, they blew Indy out. Against us, they damn near lost that game despite us having our backup quarterback and spotting them 20 points off those 4 turnovers. They lose the game against Jacksonville. They lose the game against Washington. They damn near lost to Houston. There's just nothing there that tells me, oh, God, they're great. Now, look, on paper, they look way more talented than a lot of teams in this league, including against Tampa Bay, which is why they're favored by 2.5 going into Tampa. But they're going to face the GOAT in the GOAT's house in what could be the GOAT's final postseason. It's for sure his final postseason in Tampa. I don't see him ending up back there. So, I don't expect the turnovers to come as easily as they have for Dallas over the past 6 weeks, right? Which means Dak's going to have to take care of the ball, which he's not been doing even against bad teams. Or, well, maybe not. Maybe bad is a little bit strong, but Washington's not good. They're not horrible, but they're not good. Our defense can be opportunistic, but look, 14 turnovers in their final 7 games. If they do that against Tampa, they're going to get bit. This is still Tom Brady. And until Brady shows us in the postseason that he can't do it, he's still the GOAT. Plain and simple. This matchup, Tom Brady versus Dallas in any kind of playoffs, this is where when Dallas would have a big year, your worst possible nightmare was Brady versus the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, right? That was your worst nightmare. It's like, I don't know how any of us would be able to sit there and watch. I mean, you obviously can't hope Dallas beats Brady, but how do you root for Tom Brady? I mean, I guess anybody better than Dallas, but my God. No thanks. And I know a lot of you are probably sitting there saying, man, I'd love to knock Dallas out of the playoffs. God, boy, wouldn't that be great? Dallas goes ahead, beats Tampa Bay, thinks they've shut up all the doubters, rah, rah, rah. They come into Philly pumping their chest, and we just knock them out. And I think that's fair. I look at it the other way. I'm the opposite. First, I don't want Dallas to ever win a playoff game. Ever. I don't want Dallas to ever win a game, but especially a playoff game for multiple reasons. One, I just don't want them to have another playoff win as an organization. But then, the fans and all their nonsense. We them boys. This is our year. Fuck out of here. Second, a Tampa victory sends likely, unless there's another big upset somewhere, likely sends Tampa to Philadelphia and gives us the chance to end Tom Brady at the Link. And that, to me, it's a more fun situation to me, right? I would love to. And now Brady may very well play again next year, but it ain't going to be in Tampa. So I would love the opportunity to knock Brady out and make him think, you know what, maybe it's time to go. And his last ever game is a loss at the Link. That's the way I look at it, right? Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm afraid of Dallas. I think if Dallas has to come to Philly, we're going to handle them too. But I would love the opportunity to knock Brady out for the year and possibly end his career with a loss at the Link. That's the way I look at it. Let's hop back over here and check on you guys. David Connett. Dak will probably try to run in the playoffs with 12 seconds left this time and no timeouts. Hey, look, dude, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, Mike McCarthy can stay there and Jerry Jones can live forever. I'm absolutely fine with it. Lou Dominguez. I don't think Tampa has a chance. Dallas has struggled offensively, yes, but their D is still a serious problem, and Tampa can't move the ball. I think that's very fair, dude. I really do. But until Tom Brady shows us that he can't do it in January, I'm not sitting here telling you that I think it's a lock that Tampa Bay wins, but I'm not counting out the GOAT until he loses. Unless he comes to Philly, then he's done. Lou Mancini, Doc is in playoff form, and you got to love that. Absolutely. Dak, you mean? Yep, got it. David Connett, I love Dak. As long as he's on Dallas, there's no chance of them winning a Super Bowl. See, everybody. I had an argument with a guy on social media a few weeks back who tried to tell me that nobody cares about Dallas outside of Dallas. That there's not all this hate for Dallas everywhere. I'm like, you are out of your mind, dude. Out of your mind. Dallas is one of those teams in professional sports where if you are not a Dallas fan, you hate Dallas, right? It's the Yankees with baseball, Duke, Kentucky with college basketball, Lakers and Celtics with the NBA. It fits that type of thing where you either love them or you hate them. There's no in between. Keenan Harmon. You want guaranteed Eagles playoff wins? Get Pam and I in the Link. We haven't lost a game when we're in the stadium. Free tickets are gladly accepted. Whew. I don't know if any of you saw Diaz's comments, but I think you might want to start a GoFundMe page for that. There's Captain Demps. I say that all the time. I'd be okay with them never winning another game ever. You and I are on the same page, my brother. Dallas, I don't ever want them to win anything. So even if it means, us having to knock them out, I don't even want them to have that chance. I want them out. I want them done. And they're going to have some trouble here because they're going to have to make a decision on Prescott again come next year. They really should be looking at it now. So, it's kind of a pick'em game for me. I would rather see Tampa because I want to end Brady. I'm not afraid of Dallas, but I'd rather see Tampa come up. I'm sure a lot of you want Dallas, and that's okay too. After that, to me, the only other NFC game with intrigue is the Giants in Minnesota. I mean, if you just look at Captain Demps, here you go. Seattle, San Fran. I know we commented back and forth on Facebook a little bit, but when you dive into it, Seattle at San Francisco, I don't think you're going to like my take here, man. I am not all that optimistic. The Niners are 2-0 against the Seahawks this season. They've outscored them 48-20 and are +4 on the turnover margin, forcing 4 turnovers and not turning it over at all. The Niners have won 10 straight games going into the playoffs, okay? They're playing nasty, aggressive, just bully ball, mean up and down the field on both sides of pushing people around. The rest of the league, us included, feels like we can plug and play at different. Everybody's got that position. For us, it's running back, right? The Eagles show you with what they do in the draft and free agency, that they feel that they can plug and play at the running back position. Quimby said it 1,000 times. It's the body type, right? I mean, you look at Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell, they're roughly the same body. I think Miles is stronger, but they're roughly the same body type. And I think the Eagles show you all the time that they think they can plug in a guy to fit that mold, which is why I don't think you're going to see Miles Sanders get a big contract from us. He might tag him, but he's not going to get a bag from us. That's not going to happen. Some other teams do it with wide receivers. Some teams do it with tight ends. The general rule in the NFL is the quarterback is number one, right? You have to covet the quarterback. We got to draft the right quarterback. We got to protect the quarterback. We got to do quarterback. The rules of the league are geared towards quarterback success. All of this stuff protects the quarterback. So what do the 49ers come out and do? They're going to play plug and play at the quarterback position, saying to the rest of the league, our skill position players are fine. We can plug anybody in at quarterback, and we can succeed. And so far, they're not wrong, which is wildly frustrating, but also very scary. And unfortunately, I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to see that again this weekend. And I don't see that game being close. It's one of the three that I believe is going to be a blowout. Is San Francisco just taking Seattle to the woodshed? I mean, I'd love to see them get knocked off. I just don't think Seattle's the team to do it. So you move over to the Giants and the Vikings. The last time out, this game ends on a 61-yard field goal in Minnesota, won by Minnesota. The Giants aren't afraid of anyone, okay? And they will walk into Minnesota playing with house money. Keep in mind, before this season, and Chris Sack was the first one to say it, all of us looked at the 7.5 over-under on win total for the Giants as the easiest under bet in the entire league. Good thing we didn't bet the house on that, right? We'd all be broke. So they're not going to. Daboll has them believing they can win anywhere against anyone. And as far as Daniel Jones, you guys know I call him Blues Clues. He's just got to kind of Trent Dilfer this thing, right? Just don't mess it up. Do what he's been doing throughout the year. Our good friend Sam Cohen, who's been on with us twice. His last time on, and texting with me, he likes to hang his hat on Daniel Jones has the lowest interception rate in the league. He's not wrong. I think it was 1.1. But keep in mind, he's also, like 29th or 30th in the league in touchdown percentage. So he's just not throwing the ball a whole lot. And that's the idea with the Giants. It's got to go through Saquon Barkley. He's the biggest reason why that offense has been better this year. Is because Saquon's been healthy. Okay? The last few years, Saquon's gotten hurt, and it showed. So, as far as Jones, he just needs to Trent Dilfer the thing and let the run game do the talking. For the Vikings, you want to talk about the NFL's case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? This is it. Nobody's afraid of their defense. Is bend but don't break defense. Well, you know what, man? When you get to the playoffs, a lot of times you can't bend, okay? You got to stop somebody. And this team is 30th, finishes the season 30th in the NFL in points per game. 30th. They're the number 3 seed in the playoffs. Giants aren't afraid to go. The Giants can easily go up and down the field on the Vikings defense. As far as the Vikings offense, like which one shows up? Again, Jekyll and Hyde. Is it the one that barfed all over itself in the first half against Indianapolis? Or is it the one that came back in the second half and set the record for biggest comeback, and looked electric? I mean, when you go by the roster, the Vikings should win this game, especially being at home, but it's going to come down to Cousins, right? It always comes down to Cousins with them. They can't which Cousins is going to show up? Is it, 1 p.m. Cousins or is it primetime Cousins? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Guys, you're not going to like it. If I was going to bet this weekend, my money would be on the Giants. I don't think there's, outside of Justin Jefferson and maybe TJ Hawkinson, as far as the passing game, Dalvin Cook can be dangerous, but there's just not a whole lot on Minnesota to really fear. And, Thibodeau is going to be in Cousins' face often, unless they do something about him. I don't see it, man. I think the Giants, while roster-wise, you would say that the Vikings are better. I think you really need to consider that they're just wildly inconsistent. For them to be down 33-0 to that Houston team or to that Indianapolis team was a freaking joke. Sure, they came back and won, but they were down 33-0 to Indianapolis. Sorry, I don't see it. Like I said, if I had to bet, if I was going to lay money on that game, it would be on New York. Go ahead, crucify me all you want. That's fine. So that's what I say. I think San Fran wins in a blowout. I'd rather see Tampa over Dallas, and I think New York has it over Minnesota. That's the way I see this weekend going. I'm sure Desi's thrilled with that. David Conant with Minnesota, depends on which QB shows up. Kirk Thuggins seems to be unstoppable. However, Kirk Cousins isn't so good, especially in the playoffs. Dave, I can't call him Kirk Thuggins. I can't tell you how much that annoys the piss out of me. So I'm sure you'll say it about 500 more times now. Russ Taylor says Georgia just scored again. So you guys that follow me on Facebook, at least, I put up a YouTube video of Frogger, the video game Frogger, and it was just like the many deaths of Frogger. And I put the comment as highlights from the national championship game. I mean, what a disaster. Captain Demps, they don't make it. Yeah, they do not make Daniel Jones throw the ball. And that's the idea, right? You as a defense, you got to take away Saquon and make them have Jones throw it. He's got no, I mean, look, his wide receivers are bad, and I just don't think he's more than a mid-range quarterback. Okay. Is he the worst quarterback in the league? Of course not. Is he a starter in this league? Yeah, he is. But I think he's a bottom third starter. Who else do we got over here? Keenan Harmon. Giants 24-3 at the half, and then Cousins decides to play football. Final score 27-24. Ouch, brother. Desi's not going to like that one. Lou Mancini, is Rager still playing? Oh, Rager's a bad word, dude. Rager's a very bad. There's Desi. Yes, I know. Don't think I'm like rooting for the Giants here. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. So, I mean, that's it on the NFC side. So I think, we may end up playing the Giants, guys. We get the lowest seed left remaining. If the Giants win, and then it'll be them coming to Philly. And I don't mind that matchup either. When everybody's at full strength, you saw what we're capable of against that Giants team when we walked into the Meadowlands and handed it to them 48-22, I think was the final score of that game. Now, I certainly never expect to blow out a division rival. I don't care where the game's being played, and I won't expect it if that happens, if that matchup happens. But, I mean, if you're going to sit here and tell me that the Giants are going to walk into the Link in a week and a half and beat Philadelphia, I've got some magic beans to sell you too. So, anyways, let's get over to the AFC side real quick here, okay? I want to get to the AFC games and then close the show with just a couple quick things. Chargers at Jags. I really don't know what to make of this game. It's a pick'em game. There's no spread. I think that was the last I saw. Or maybe it's like 1.5. I think the Chargers by 1.5 at this point. Either way, it's a pick'em game. Vegas is telling you that take your pick. This is Justin Herbert's chance to break through. Make no mistake about it. We've talked quarterback contracts on this show a couple of different times. One time during the summer, we really broke it down. But, Herbert, again, he's going to be compared. His contract, he's going to have to get paid soon. But he's going to be compared to Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. He's going to get compared to to this set of quarterbacks, Kyler Murray. And you've got Burrow, who's made a Super Bowl and is an MVP candidate 2 years in a row. You got Lamar Jackson, who has won a playoff game and has won an MVP award. This is Justin Herbert's first playoff appearance. He really can't afford to go one and done here as it pertains to his contract. He needs to get a win. So, I would look for. I'm not a big fan of the Chargers head coach and his play calling, much like Zach Taylor with the Bengals. I don't care for the play calling. I don't think they're bad guys or bad coaches. I think somebody needs to take some of these responsibilities away from these guys, though. This is also a chance for the Jaguars to show that just because they're coming from a horrible division doesn't mean that they don't belong. Dougie is going to have them ready. He's had them ready all year long, right? He's brought a very nice, calming influence to what was an extremely chaotic situation in the wake of Urban Meyer's nonsense, who, by the way, is still the worst head coach. And I know Nathaniel Hackett was bad and got fired, but still the worst head coach hire, easily, that I've ever seen, I think. I have to think on it for a minute, but Urban Meyer was awful. Anyways, Dougie's got him under control. He's got Sunshine playing good ball. They run the ball well with ETN. I honestly think this could be a very fun game to watch. And as far as the AFC goes, this might be the only game that's really all that close. So you kind of want to enjoy this Saturday night matchup from an AFC perspective, because I think the other two are a joke, guys. And we're going to get to those. I don't have a whole lot of notes on the other two games because I just don't think there's a whole lot to talk about there. This one, the funny part of this game, Jags and Chargers, this might be the two worst fan bases in all of football, right? The Chargers basically play 17 road games, depending on who they have come in. They have no following in LA. They're going to end up having to move back to San Diego at some point, I would think. Folks in the Tampa Bay area, with the Bucks playing Monday night and this game being on Saturday night, they could go to both. Look, you might see that stadium full of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans, just kind of saying, yeah, we're here to root for a Florida team. But I think the game itself has some intrigue. I think they are pretty well evenly matched. Despite the record being different, I think the Jaguars are playing. The Jaguars are obviously playing good ball coming down the stretch, and they're there for a reason. So I like that game. It's a pick'em game. I'll go ahead and pick the Jaguars just because I like, I'd like to see Dougie get himself another playoff win. This is a guy this is his sixth full season as a head coach. He's got 4 playoff wins in a Super Bowl ring. It's not too bad. Guy, it's, he knows what he's doing, right? And a lot of people on a lot of these chat boards, these Facebook groups over the last few days, why is everybody singing Dougie's praises? He's done a damn good job down there. Keep in mind, the Jacksonville Jaguars were at the bottom of the league last year. 3-14, the worst record in football. He's got them 9-8 as a division winner, hosting a playoff game this year. 6-win improvement in a 17-game campaign. That's a huge jump. And then to go from the bottom to a division winner is enormous. So I think he's done a great job. I'd like to see him get another playoff win. Once you get past the Chargers, I don't think they stand a snowball's chance in hell against anyone else. But I think they can beat the Chargers, and I am going to be rooting for the Jaguars in that game. Our nest of fans out here will be out over at the bowling alley during the first part of that game, so we'll be having a good old time. Captain Dem says that's his forever coach. Yeah, look, man, I don't blame you. I like Coach Nick. Okay, I like the tenacity. I like the fire, but I get it. Not going to argue. The other two AFC matchups, I think, are a disaster. And we'll start, Lou, I'm sorry again, man. We'll start with Dolphins at Bills. Skylar Thompson having to lead a Dolphins team, albeit a talented team at the skill position. Look, you're going into Buffalo. Damar Hamlin is likely going to be in attendance, as if that crowd and that team needed any more juice, they're going to get it by him being in attendance. I just do not see, again, any given Sunday is the way you Dolphin fans would have to look at it. That's why you play the games type of thing. But going into it, guy, this game has absolute disaster written all over it. This has blowout written all over it. I know the spread is like 13 or 14. I'd probably lay the points. I'd probably lay the points and just say to hell with it. Not much to say here other than that. Bills are home, inspired by Hamlin, and they are on fire. Fish on the road with Skylar Thompson getting the start. Tua, look, we'll talk Tua for just a second. Tua needs to stay out, okay? Even if by some miracle the Fish win this game, Tua still does not need to come back. That young man needs to seriously consider the rest of his life, not just the rest of his football career. When you start getting your brain scrambled up like that, and that last concussion he got, it's not like he got waffled, okay? He didn't get hit that hard by, NFL standards. Any one of us would be crippled. But he just took a shot. And, he also had, I think, at least one concussion at Alabama. I know of at least one concussion at Alabama. This is chronic with him now, and it's a problem. And I don't think he should push it. That's my opinion too. I'd hate to see the young man ruin the rest of his life. Again, this is Bills in a big win for me. That's just the way I see it. Ravens at Bengals. Again, this is another one. I don't like the Ravens in this game. Keep in mind, this is a Bengals team that is going to come out pissed off that they are not the number 2 seed and didn't get that opportunity. So they would love nothing more than to have the opportunity to head up to Buffalo next weekend and try to prove everyone wrong that they should have been, ahead of Buffalo in the playoffs to start with. So I think you're going to see a very aggressive, nasty, just ready to go out and hack somebody up type of Bengals attack this weekend against the Ravens Sunday night here in Cincinnati. Don't take what you saw on the second half of this past weekend you take that with a grain of salt. When the Bengals had their foot on the gas, it was a 27-10 football game. All right. And it looks like, I don't know if they've changed it, but last I saw, Lamar Jackson was still not going to play. Now, if he does, maybe that changes it a little bit, but let me take a look here. Unless somebody else has it. Does anybody else have any kind of update on Lamar Jackson? Because I do not. Yeah, 8 hours ago, misses his 16th straight practice. Status still uncertain. Even if he does play, how effective is he really going to be with that knee? It's not. Got more sex sites in here, guys. Click on it quick before I block you. Bye. Yeah. This is Bengals in a landslide. They're the more talented team, anyways, even with Lamar on the field. And I get Roquan's going to be out there, energized, charged up with his new contract, but that's not going to change much. The Bengals should roll the Ravens, and I think they will. I think the spread is 7.5 right now. Again, I would lay the points. And I would take Cincinnati to win in a landslide. Let me hop back over here to the room before we get to our last topic and close out the show. Keenan Harmon. Remember Chip Kelly? Oh, yeah, I remember Chip Kelly. I was not the biggest fan. Lou Dominguez. Only game I see here is Chargers-Jags. I don't see Ravens staying with the Bengals offense, and my Dolphins are in a world of trouble against Buffalo. Brother, we see these things very much eye to eye. I know we texted about it earlier, but I feel the exact same way. I'm sorry that I really can't find much of a silver lining for the Fish against Buffalo in that one. I mean, this could end up being the kind of ass whooping where you really don't even learn anything. But we'll see. Again, that's why they play the games, though, right? David Conant says Herbert is the most overrated quarterback right now. Wrong. The most overrated quarterback is Dak Prescott. David Conant also says Rams have the worst fan base in football. I think that's fair. The Chargers are a little worse. The Rams actually do have at least some fans that get in there. What did Russ Taylor have? Russ Taylor, the Rams don't have fans. They have people that can't afford Lakers tickets and are too stuck up to buy Clippers tickets. That's fair. That's also very fair. What else do we got going on in here? Lou Mancini says Adam loves sunshine and remember the Titans. Sunshine. And Keenan Harmon, to his head, been shaken more than the ass on Quimby's favorite adult entertainer at Cheerleaders Gentlemen's Club. Very nice. Love that. So, I don't know how much you guys disagree with me on my picks there. So I've got the Giants, I've got the Bucks, and I've got the Niners on the NFC side. On the AFC side, I've got the Bengals, the Bills, and I'm gonna say the Jaguars just because I want them to win over the Chargers. It's not that I hate Justin Herbert, not that I really hate the Chargers. I like Dougie, and I want to see him get a win. So, I don't want to close the show. How about the boner of the week before we get to our last topic here? Boner of the week. I'm going to go with Carlos Correa and or the New York Mets. Carlos Correa had himself a signed 13-year, $350 million contract in San Francisco. Then he had himself a signed 12-year, $315 million contract in New York with the Mets. And because of his physical and, the way he backed out of it with San Francisco, don't get me wrong, still a rich man, still a huge contract, but he ends up with 6 years, $200 million to go back to Minnesota. Anytime you lose 7 years and $150 million, you definitely make yourself a boner of the week candidate. And for the Mets, I still think Steve Cohen greased the wheels with those doctors in San Francisco. I still think he tampered with the whole thing with Correa, and I think he deserves to lose out on that. And the arrogance of the Mets to sit there and say, well, if we don't get Correa, we'll just go get Devers. No, well, Devers signed back in Boston. So now who's playing third base for the Mets? Good luck with that. One final boner of the week. Again, another very rich person, so it's not like they're hurting. But Mattress Mac. This is the idiot down in Texas who won I forget how much, $3 million or whatever the hell it was, however many millions it was when he bet that the Astros would beat the Phillies in the World Series. Well, that guy went out and laid a massive bet on TCU to beat Georgia. So, there's your 3 boners of the week right there. And that's all I got on that, right? So the last topic that I've got for you guys here is Stetson Bennett, the Georgia quarterback. Look, I don't want to hear about him being 25, and I love all the memes where he looks like, he's like some old man on the side. They're hysterical. But this kid is really something else. Now, he is, I think, a bit undersized for the pro position, but he is going to get an opportunity, okay? Because all he's done is win when he's been given opportunities. So he's going to get a shot. I don't know if he's a first-round talent, but he's going to get an opportunity. So just real quick through his timeline so you can get a little bit better appreciation of it if you don't already know. As a freshman in 2017, he was a walk-on at Georgia. He did not take a single snap. Okay? When Justin Fields, who later transfers to Ohio State, committed to Georgia in 2018, Bennett went ahead and transferred to Jones County Junior College, so JUCO. 2018, he plays 12 games at JUCO, throws for 1,840 yards, 16 touchdowns. He then enters the portal again, this time as a 3-star prospect, and was about to head to the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Georgia needs a backup because Justin Fields transferred to Ohio State. So they go ahead and offer a scholarship to Stetson Bennett, and he goes back to Georgia as a backup quarterback. 2019, he is that backup to Jake Fromm. Very limited time. He threw 2 touchdown passes. He ran for another one. He did appear in the SEC championship when Jake Fromm went down. That's really all there is to talk about in 2019 for this kid. In 2020, as a junior now, he begins the season as a backup to Dewan Mathis. Does anybody remember that name at Georgia? Dewan Mathis. Mathis was awful, so Bennett becomes the starter. And then he's moved back to second string when JT Daniels transfers in from USC. So again, can't quite crack it, right? Then 2021 comes. He begins, Bennett starts the season as the backup to JT Daniels. Daniels then hurts his oblique, which opens the door for Bennett to get his first start. That would be against the UAB Blazers. Bennett ties the Georgia record with 5 touchdowns. And from there, he's trusted and named the starter for the rest of the way. Right? Leads Georgia to a 12-0 record, but loses to Alabama in the SEC championship, 41-24. And if you guys remember that game, a lot of the criticism and blame went on Bennett for his play in that game. To the point where your Georgia Dogs fans and other folks were saying, maybe the hourglass has kind of run out here on this kid, and we need to get JT Daniels back in there. Kirby Smart says, nope, Bennett's my guy, starts him, and what happens? National championship, they get another shot at Bama, and they win the national championship with Stetson Bennett as the quarterback. And then comes this year, 2022. Finishes the year as a Heisman candidate. Doesn't win it because that ass out in USC. But he leads the Dogs to a perfect 15-0 record, a second straight national championship, this time in an absolute destruction of TCU, 65-7. Mind you, he does not play the fourth quarter. Maybe a minute or two he was out there. I think there's 13 minutes left. They took him off the field. He still tosses 4 touchdown passes and runs for 2 more. And he's named the offensive MVP for the national championship. This is a guy who 5 years ago was a walk-on and then transferred to JUCO at the end of that year. For his career, he finishes 29-3 as a starter with 2 national championships and as a Heisman runner-up and as the offensive MVP for the second national championship. Guys, if you can't appreciate that and you don't think he should get a shot, again, I got some magic beans to sell you. I think he's a good kid. I'm not sure what he's going to amount to in the NFL, but he is going to get an opportunity, and you're damn sure he deserves one. That's what I got for you this week, folks. Wild card weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend with, what do we got? Is it 3 games? 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and then 1 Monday night. That Tampa-Dallas game moving to Monday night, that's the NFL doing ESPN a favor because they didn't end up getting the entire Bills-Bengals because of the DeMar thing. So anyways, let me hop back over here one more time. You guys been quiet for a few, as far as I can see anyways. So yeah, that's all I got for this week, guys. Keenan, Russ, Lou, Lewis, Dave, Captain Demps, thank you again for stopping in. Please give your lovely daughter a kiss on the head from the entire Gilmore family. Love that she's got that fight song down at 2.5 years old. That's one of the highlights of the year for this show. Absolutely. David Connett, Patty Hartman, who stopped in, Desi, Fito, Russ Taylor. Am I missing anyone? I don't want to miss anyone. Boy, you guys were live tonight. You guys are always live. My usual suspects. I love you guys. You guys are the best. So, that's it. Guys, thank you very much for joining me as always. This has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We will see you next week. I think I'm going to try to get up to the back porch for the show next week and get Mike on to sit with me if he's available and if he's cool with it. So that will be all birds. pretty much all birds unless something huge happens. We'll recap the weekend, but we're going to talk a lot of birds because we'll know our matchup at that point, and we'll take a deep dive into that. But from all of us here to all of you out there, thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the best. My usual suspects in the room. Anyone else who decides to listen, we're always very appreciative. Y'all take care. Have yourselves a fantastic week. Enjoy the playoffs this weekend, and we will see you next Wednesday. And go Birds! All right, so usually I let that run for a minute, but I am starving. I'm going to go eat. Take care, everybody. See you soon.